you're thinking. And you've probably seen it all before. You're thinking this is another one of those action sports movies, but it's actually a little bit more interesting than that. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely some action. Weirdly enough, I go snowboarding, a skier and snowboarder come surfing, and the three of us take an honest look beyond the green veil. This is Chris. Chris is probably one of the gnarliest skiers ever. He loves the feeling of soft snow. He has a farm and lives in Revelstoke with his family.
11.
He showed me how to count.
8.
He's really good at it.
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, drop.
Did I mention he loves the snow? And this is Timmy. Timmy Tomahawk. Ever heard of him? We don't really understand Timmy, but we absolutely love him. He also loves the snow. If he's not stoked, you're probably having a bad time.
I know. Let's see it. Oh!
Did we mention his girlfriend's kind of a big deal?
A lot of people can say that their girlfriends are better than them at everything that they do. Nutritionist for me.
And this is me. I like watching waves. I also like to make things. Sometimes I even ride the waves. I'm an engineer, and I am very smart. All jokes aside, I wanted to make a movie to encourage you to feel a little less comfortable.
Out here along a rural highway, just admiring these trees that one might easily glance over and assume is all just forest, right? I mean, sure looks like it from the road, but these trees are actually a thing known as a green veil, which is a practice that started in the late 80s when people driving through rural areas would be appalled at the amount of devastating clear cuts that came right down to the highway because, after all, they're not very nice to look at. As people saw more clear cuts, industry came under fire for their practices, and they started leaving these strips of trees here, these green veils, right along the highway to obscure what was happening just on the other side.
The feeling you get when you drive past places like this is a feeling of like, this is a lot of destruction, but it happened for a reason? Question mark? Everywhere you go on the island, it's just so common. And I think for me personally, it just got to a point where I'm like, seriously? So this small strip of trees that kind of separates the highway from the development is usually left by development companies or logging companies to kind of hide their mess. But if you just walk a little bit through the forest, through the strip, you can really kind of see just how crazy some of the destruction is. I think it's just like an attempt to try and hide the mess a little bit, but I don't know, it's pretty obvious.
Wood is an incredibly amazing resource, and like we will always have a need for wood. It's not about not logging, it's just about doing it better. Forest management only values economics, right? They don't value the ecological function, they don't value the spiritual community, indigenous cultures, or any other values of a forest ecosystem besides how much money they can extract from this resource. As technologies continue to get better and better, you get crazy devices like a feller buncher. Those things are terrifying. It's basically the machine in Fern Gully, but in real life, just like grabbing trees, cutting them. We start to experience ecological fallout and all these horrible things starting to happen. It's almost impossible for us to like quantify that in a monetary number. And then who do we hold liable for that? These ecosystems are important because they are the foundation to the health and function of all of the lands that we live on.
I grew up surfing in the summers in Tofino and just got so hooked from a young age, just with my family spending all day at the beach.
Both him and his brother, Paul, they really grew up on the beach here.
I think, I get a lot of that activist background from my dad. He grew up in a time where the legacy logging corporations were really at their peak, and he was kind of part of a lot of groups trying to stop these people.
And we were told that we were going to do this plan that was going to end all plans. And we sat there and we read them and we bought it. I don't think we realized what the intention was, what the sort of end game was with the logging. No one was really aware that their intention was to take it all. In fact, there is no other way to deal with this issue other than standing on the road in Sulphur Pass. We've been manipulated, we've been lied to, we've been handled.
Our landscape is being ravaged, wildlife habitat is being destroyed for mega profits.
Surfing in BC, it's just a little bit more wild. Just loved how raw it felt to be in the ocean and the storms in the winter, and still it's so young that there's lots of places to go that are still basically untouched or haven't really been surfed that much, and you just kind of feel a bit more energy from those places. Yeah, it's really hard to know what the right answer is because, surfers, snowboarders, we use roads like this to get to such unique and amazing places. But we would never have access like we do without an industry like this. And it's definitely a double-edged sword.
The whole premise of these sports thrives on being outside in nature. You can't do any of them not in nature.
A lot of times the logging kind of stops right where the skiing gets good. The ability that we have to explore these mountains, it wouldn't be the same if we didn't have these logging roads going all over the place.
I got the amazing privilege to get invited on a base camping trip with Chris and Timmy, which was one of the most insane experiences of my life. I think we wanted to do this trip to try and understand the parallels between our sports. We as surfers on the island see so much destruction from the logging industry, and we couldn't imagine that skiers and snowboarders don't see the same thing.
Chris had this zone in mind that was in this cut block. It was in an old growth forest, and there's pillows.
I've never seen so much snow, I've never been so cold, and I've honestly never been so scared. I might die, but that's okay.
It's definitely on the hardcore end of trips as far as trips go. We took snowmobiles and used them on logging roads to access base camp.
Chris chose this zone specifically because we could only really access this amazing area because of the logging that took place here. It was just such an inspiring couple days watching those guys just in their element, having so much fun, and just doing what they love.
All right, Michael, how you feeling about your line?
Pretty nervous, but it's pretty sick too. Yeah, man, I've never even come close to this.
It's basically the whitewater wave of surfing, right?
Yeah.
You got this.
I'm so scared.
No, you got this, dude. Michael is dropping. Dude, yeah!
Yeah, Michael, that was sick!
Watching Michael progress was super cool.
It's a lot for someone to handle if they've only been splitboarding twice. And then you bring them out to the backcountry where you're camping. Yeah, welcome to Hell's Kitchen, backcountry edition.
You're like all together, you're in this camp and there's like no other outside distractions.
It snowed like 30 centimeters, then snowed 50 centimeters. So it just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to do something like that again. And I felt really humbled to be in such a crazy place like that. I felt like I had a lot of personal growth. The world of snow sports and surfing is so similar, and I just want them to experience the feeling that I got to experience in the snow. I want to get you guys into some kind of exciting waves, so we're gonna check out a little mini slab kind of out on the furthest west you can go near Port Renfrew.
What's a mini slab?
A mini slab is a great place to get your heart rate going without dying.
Right.
Okay.
So on like the ski scale of like beginner being green and intermediate being blue and then there's black diamond, what would you rate it?
I would probably rate it like a black diamond, just because you wouldn't want a beginner out there.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not beginners.
No, you guys aren't beginners.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I wanted to bring these guys to these waves specifically kind of to get back at them a little bit, or at least to have them experience some of the heart palpitations that I had in Revelstoke.
What the fuck? It looks so sick.
Dude, oh my God, let's go.
Getting your heart rate going, even if it's just kind of some novelty fun waves. Yeah, that's just what it's all about, really.
You know, why don't you go out there and we'll just see what happens, and then
Dude, he's gonna go out there and shred.
and then we're gonna get excited. Yeah.
I think they're a little bit scared, but I think that's a great thing.
Man, I don't know. I'm gonna put my fins in my board, just pretending that I'm like gonna suit up. Yeah. Slow motion. See, maybe we start out with like a little baby one like that. I'm getting frothed up right now. You get a little pop-ups going, you know?
You got this, man. You got this. Yeah. Yes.
He's like, fuck, how much can these guys ruin my rep right now in surfing? No time like the present. Now, Michael! Michael is just so persuasive. He's like, you guys can do this. We're like, okay, cool. Can't think out there, you just have to go. That's what I learned from that session. You think, you're going over the falls. I went to my feet and did a bottom turn and then just got smoked, and then it dragged me across the reef, and then I got some urchins. Chris and I would be like, yeah, this one's yours, buddy. Just like Why are we both paddling the other way?
To me, an old-growth forest is kind of a little slice of paradise. It's this beautiful ecosystem that is so rich in biodiversity. You just feel a magical feeling.
You get certain energies from places like this. You don't hear any cars and you don't hear any people. You can just like listen to nature.
You can tell this is how nature should be, and this is how it's been for thousands of years. Filled with biodiversity, all kinds of different birds and plants, and you can tell it's sustaining all this life.
You're just kind of amongst these giants. It's just, that's empowering. Like you feel like an energy here.
A healthy forest ecosystem has all the same traits of an old-growth forest, regardless of how you define it. It has complexity of different tree species at different ages, different spacing between them that allows for disturbances like fire or disease. It has all these different elements to the way that the ecosystem functions on a broader scale that like you can have that in a younger forest. It doesn't necessarily need to be an old-growth forest.
You can be anybody and see a huge tree and like be in awe of its presence. Like you don't have to be an environmentalist or necessarily into nature. I mean, these things are so incredibly huge, and like how long they've been here, it kind of like boggles your mind.
I feel a responsibility to protect the old growth deep within me just because it's the right thing to do. I benefit so much from nature. We all depend on it for survival beyond just our pleasure to be outdoors.
I think we don't fully understand the impact that they have, especially in a changing climate. It's not that I don't want families to make money and like support themselves. I think that logging can be an amazingly sustainable industry.
We all are very aware that we need wood for our ways of life, but it's about intelligent extraction. It's about, let's take only what we need, let's not take too much too soon.
Vancouver Island is known for its amazing environment, and I think a lot of people and a lot of media focus on that, which of course, why not? You'd want to show the most beautiful thing, but in reality there is a lot of destruction and a lot of unsustainable management of this environment, and I think that if you can at least just show it for what it really is, I think that is super important and real. So today the plan is we're going to go up and see some really amazing trees up along the Gordon River, specifically Eden Grove and Big Lonely Doug. There's some examples of protected areas and some incredible trees that are in the area. It's kind of a crazy example when you look at it on a map of just how logged this part of the island is and how significant Fairy Creek really can be. For growing up in BC, like, yeah, you see trees like this more often, but you also realize that, oh, there's only like a select few little groups of them that are accessible.
If you spend enough time in the woods, you realize that there's like these particularly special sections. They definitely haven't lost their like effect on me. They don't, it's not like a it's getting old sort of thing.
We're here, I think, just to show people that these places do exist and they're unbelievably beautiful, but only in very isolated pockets and only because people have wanted to protect them.
So here in British Columbia, the government definition of an old-growth forest is a forest that's either 250 years old here in kind of coastal BC, or in the interior 140 years old. The primary driver behind forest management is economics. It's like, how can we make the most money from this resource and do it in a way that is cheap and cost effective to harvest, bring it to market in an easy way, and then like replant and get another harvest in like 60, 70 years. Like that's the whole driving force behind what we call management.
People fighting to continue the logging until there's nothing left, to me, is just complete insanity. In order for the people to care and government officials to sit at the table and say, okay, we need to address this, people needed to show up. The fact that they did and those numbers, it did change something. It did push the government to do something, and it did listen.
There's several of these watersheds are still intact, and are more valuable because of it.
Come and see what we've done.
You like what we've done? We left one, just for you.
Yeah, just so you guys can appreciate what was here.
I think that without public and indigenous intervention, these places wouldn't exist.
I'd call myself sustainability minded. I don't know. I feel like I've always been pretty good at seeing both sides.
Being an activist is like something that you're fighting for, and then you're also just like all about. Like it's something that you're dedicated to.
I think the word activism to me, in a funny way, means being as annoying as possible.
Jesus Christ.
Being super annoying, I think honestly makes a pretty big difference because you're just getting in the way.
And I think it's really important that we recognize that it's not loggers versus environmentalists or skiers versus corporations. It's so much more complicated than that. You still have old growth forests remaining. Like that is weird to say, but it is like a privilege to be in a position to actually have an opportunity to do something about it. We need to be able to do all we can to protect ecosystems and their functions so that they can continue to adapt and survive and thrive in an unknown future.
Now that we're all feeling a little less comfortable, it's time to appreciate the bigger picture. Some may say it's a little hypocritical that we preach, save the trees, and then directly benefit from their destruction. But by doing so, we've discovered a passion and appreciation for the beauty and value of these environments. Even though we still heavily rely on the logging industry to access our sports, we can still grow and challenge ourselves to appreciate more than just our athletic pursuits. Our growth as backcountry athletes can no longer coincide with the continuing destruction of these rare ecosystems. We in this industry need to take action to help preserve the few remaining old growth forests and take an honest look beyond the Green Veil.
Where has all of the time gone? How did we get here? We've been through trials and tribulations and still
Here we go. Drop it! Avalanche. Oh, avalanche!
Right there with you.
That is some grade A Canadian power right there.
Where you say we go. Step out into a brand new world. I'll be with you. Right there with you.
How was your first run?
Not gonna lie, I was fucking terrified.
On your knees.
No, look this way.
Damn it, my phone died. This is my photo opportunity. Powder Mountain, Chowder Mountain.
Step out into a bright new world.
Have you guys noticed how many pine cones there are on the trees this year?
I don't know.
We are cooking some butternut chicken right now. We got sous chef Michael here. Thank you. Damn, dude, look at this photo I just grabbed. Marcus, you're out of a job.